The Indians call the island Minnehanak, which sort of means a nice place to live.
This is Roosevelt Island, connected to Manhattan and Queens by the Queensboro and Roosevelt Island bridges. The subway goes there too. The small island community is steadily growing, with new apartment buildings popping up everywhere. But it wasn't always a nice place to live.
Well, who would they put here? And I always ask this to school groups and visitors, and they go, oh, people they didn't want. That's right, the undesirables. They put the sick people, the people they thought were mentally ill, the prisoners.
Starting in the 1700s, the island was owned by the Blackwell family. They lived in this house only during the summer. The island was called Blackwell's Island until 1921, when the city changed the name to Welfare Island because of the bad reputations of the hospitals on the island.
So the city had this lunatic asylum. They used female prisoners from the workhouse to become quote-unquote nurses, and the doctors were poorly attended to their duties, and the professional nurses that were there were also not very professional, shall we say, and it was just a place to put people.
The Octagon is the only part of the asylum that remains. An apartment building now sits on the site. The lunatic asylum is famous as the place where journalist Nellie Bly had herself committed in 1887 and wrote about the extreme maltreatment of patients in her expose, 10 Days in the Madhouse. One of the facilities on Roosevelt Island has not been remodeled and remains sufficiently creepy.
So the smallpox hospital is located at the very southern tip of the island, and it was the original first hospital built to treat patients with smallpox. But smallpox was such a communicable disease, had to be isolated and quarantined. So that hospital closed in the 1880s with the advent of immunizations against smallpox, vaccinations. So the building was then used as the third school of nursing in the United States, and that was used until the 1950s, and it was closed then and abandoned. It is now a stabilized ruin. People think, oh, it's haunted, oh, there are ghosts. I've been in the building in both times. The only ghosts I've ever seen were kitty cats, and I adopted one of them. So maybe Wanda, my cat, has a ghost-like past.